Women are not able to be political actors. We're not able to be our full selves because we spend a tremendous amount of time doing labor domestically around being married and also around raising children. As women historically have not had the luxury of free time to think, free time to relax, free time to rest, and free time to truly consider the socio-political position that we are placed under during the system of patriarchy.
There are so many amazing points in that video. I don't even know where to start. Please go watch. It's linked in my caption. So this is part 2. My first one was about how men actually want kids more than women do. Like, I'm not saying that a lot of women don't want kids, but women oftentimes know exactly what it's going to mean for them. And men are just like, oh my God, I love the idea of it. They live in delusion. And they know that women are going to pay the price of parenting, and they can just tap out and do whatever they want because of all of our social conditioning and all of their social conditioning and all the systems that make it so that they can just like do whatever. But I want to talk about this, like I promised in the last video. Moms are subsidizing men's free time. And one of the many points I love about that video I just stitched is that we never get a day off. I mean, with the exception of like rich women, like super rich women who can hire all these people to do all the things that women are supposed to do. We're expected to not only take care of men and manage men and, do all the things. We talk about it all the time. Make sure they have friends. Make sure they have a social life. Make sure, they feel good about themselves, all that stuff, right? But we're also expected to raise the kids, take care of our parents, take care of all of our friends who are not being taken care of by their partners because their partners suck too. Take care of our brothers. We literally just get tasked with taking care of everybody until the day we die. Look at how much work grandmas do. It's incredible. I mean, women have so much energy, partly because they have no choice. But our labor is literally running the world right now. And then on top of that, we got to do all this stuff to make sure that we can still have birth control. Like all this stuff. Actually, we're going to a march on Saturday for, violence against women. Me and my husband are going because we want to go, but because it's important. I went to a march. I remember being like, asking some of my guy friends. This was like, I'm not friends with any of these men anymore, but this was years ago. And I was like, hey, come join us at the women's march. And they were like watching doing video games, they're just having fun on a Saturday. And me and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of women were out here just like desperately trying to get men to care about us dying, and that's just one issue. There's so many. As a white woman, that's all I have to worry about, right? Is like the woman stuff, which is a lot of stuff. But I don't also have to show up at marches and do all kinds of community organizing around racism and around disability and around LGBTQ plus and all the other issues. Not that I don't do those things, but I don't have to because my life doesn't depend on it. And so all these other women are doing all this other stuff to make sure I care about them. I just want to acknowledge that I'm only dealing with one, really. But imagine all the time that men have, white men especially, able-bodied, cishet white men have all this time. Just do whatever they want, when they're not working, as if women aren't working all the time in addition to all this stuff. So with that in mind, all things that we're expected to do just to not get Roe v. Wade more screwed than it already is, or, just whatever. That's why this article makes me so mad. So this is another reason why I talk about men's hobbies all the time and how it's a form of abuse. Oftentimes, not always, okay? Because men hate when I talk about this, but financial abuse, abusing women's time, by that literally not showing up and helping or doing what they should be doing because they're out hunting all weekend or climbing for 5 days. And then their wife is at home crocheting or some sort of hobby that means that doesn't make her leave the house because he's taking up all of that. So my hobbies videos plays into this. So many women don't have time for themselves. When and if they do have spare time, it goes to all the other women that need their help managing their families and their king babies and their parents and their children and grandchildren. And then on the rare occasion that women have any extra time, they're volunteering. I swear to God, my mom and my stepmom are busier retired than even when they were working long hours. And I'm not criticizing that. I'm like, wow. Like, it just never ends. We just give and give and give and give until the day we die. Like, every retired woman I know, like all my friends' parents, the same thing. Women just never stop. And the men are playing golf or watching TV. Not all of them. My father-in-law is not like this. He is a busy man too. But it's maddening how rare it is for most women, unless you got a whole lot of money, to relax. Like, truly relax. Even like getting a pedicure is not quite relaxing because you're still like doing all this stuff because you have to fit the beauty standard so that you don't get discriminated against at your job or so that your husband, is less likely to cheat on you. I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, even when we're like pampering ourselves, a lot of times it is still because we're working on this. Right? Clearly, I don't work that much on this. Like, look at my hair. Oh, God. But when I did that photo shoot last week, all the time, I was like, I guess my nails need to look good. The amount of time and money it took just to have nails that don't look awful in a photo or just in general. I was like, oh my God, all my women's money and their time. God, this is just the nails. That doesn't mean the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, all that stuff, which also affects women of color, especially Black women. Way more because the beauty standards are so much harsher. This is a privilege to be able to look this silly, and still be taken seriously. But keeping all that in mind, now let's look at this article. Right out of the gate, they're like 59% of women want to be able to work from home. Only 47% of fathers said that because most fathers, okay, maybe not most, but a lot of fathers we learned during the pandemic desperately do not want to be at home because that means they actually look bad for not doing anything. And the office, they can just micromanage everyone, especially women and anyone they have power over. They can go hang out with their buddies. They can just do blah, rah, 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 and not be with their family. Because so many men don't even like the children that they convince their wives to bring into the world and raise. Even when women are making more money than their husbands, they are doing more childcare and housework. That alone is infuriating. So even in marriages where the wife is making exactly as much money as her husband, or even more, she's still doing more. She's still doing more. The only time this is not the case is when she's the primary breadwinner and he is the one who stays at home. That's the only time men are doing more work. And even then, look at this. They spend roughly the same amount of time per week on household chores. Did you see that? Even when he is the one staying at home and she's the sole provider, they do equal work. That's the only way you can get equality, apparently, for most men. Why aren't men doing the work? Because it makes them feel bad about themselves. So women are oftentimes doing more because they're so afraid that their husbands are going to hate them because they feel bad about themselves. So to make up for it, so God forbid their little fragile ego is threatened. The woman who makes more money is still doing more to cater to his shame. And his shame is rooted in patriarchy and toxic masculinity. It's not actually rooted in anything real. It's rooted in his outdated ideas around what being a man is. And it's rooted in misogyny because a woman's supposed to do that and women are beneath me. So how dare you expect me to do women's work? Even if I'm literally sitting at home all day playing video games. So women's work isn't just doing the household chores, but also doing them in such a way that men feel better about themselves. And then here's Sweden again. I did that video about Sweden, and a lot of the Swedish men are not as progressive as we'd like to think. Despite all the legislation and help from the government so that men could actually show up and be partners instead of just men who exploit women and claim they love us. Even in Sweden, when they're given paternity leave, it had the option of transferring that to the mothers. Of course, that's what they were doing because they don't want to do this stuff. And guess what? That led to a spike in separation. So they took that clause out of there. They're like, all right, guys, you can no longer transfer this over to her. So the separation rate went down again. Can you imagine a man getting paternity leave and being like, oh, cool, yeah, but I'm not going to take it. Here you go. You do it. I don't want to hang out with this kid that I made. When men were given paternity leave in Spain, they decided to prolong babies because, oops, this is hard. I don't want to do this. This right here gets me. Women are doing an extra month of unpaid labor a year, while men get an extra month of leisure. We are subsidizing their time off.